Hello, and welcome to The Alchemist with Isis Jade. The keys to living your very best life in alignment with your mind, body, and spirit. My name is Isis Jade, and I am delighted that you are here. I am the formulator behind Alchemist Co. and Warrior Relief, two brands focused on helping people use bioenergized products to help you live your very best life. I am an alignment coach, licensed spiritual counselor, holistic medicine practitioner, author, clairvoyant, and energy alchemist. I have over a dozen certifications in various healing arts, and I also carry PhDs in bioenergetics, holistic medicine, and traditional naturopathy, and I've written over 10 books. This podcast is full of immediate strategies that you can apply today to help you bring yourself back into full alignment and live your very best life fully embodied in mind, body, and spirit through a variety of holistic tools, including energy healing, aromatherapy, herbs, naturopathic processes, secret universal laws, visualization tips, how to break any bad habit fast, and how to completely reframe your entire self-concept and more. So if you are ready for your total mind, body, and spirit level up, then brilliant soul, you're in the right place. We're going to be talking about an internal, natural state of being that is ineffable, masterful, effortless, and utterly transformational. This is something innate within yourself. It is something you do not have to struggle to get, to have, to be, or to do. It is inborn of you, naturally. It emanates out from you effortlessly. I'm going to allude to the fact that a tree doesn't have to struggle to grow to its full potential, now does it? It does so in spite of whatever external circumstances may present to it. So too, a river doesn't have to struggle to return to that which it is drawn to, for it is inexorably drawn to that which it already is. You do not need to struggle to reach your full potential, nor do you need to struggle to return to that which you already are. Everything else is a distraction, an illusion. Now, I'd like to pose a question to you, and I would really like for you to contemplate on this question. Wouldn't it be absolutely amazing if you were to have within you something that flows as effortlessly as a river back to its ocean? Something that grows as effortlessly in its own time, in its own way, as that of a tree? Wouldn't it be remarkable to have something that is always flowing, but not only flowing, but carrying you along with it, without effort? Something that you can flow effortlessly along, onwards and upwards, into a higher plane of experience, a higher existence, an enlightened place without struggle, without compromise, without strife, into a higher functioning relationship, not only just with yourself alone, but with the infinite and all of life around you. So you are no longer doing to others or to yourself things that engage in strife, conflict, violence, repression, aggression, control, or enslavement, all out of fear. I'd like to ask you another question. What would life feel like to live life without all of that? Would we live in fear of what we do not have? Why is it that we cling to so many things and seek out so many solutions outside of ourselves and reach for things outside of ourselves, thinking that that holds the key, or this holds the key, or that up there will hold the key to my freedom and my evolution? Why do we create such quests for ourselves outside of ourselves? Why is it that these things ultimately seem so life-negating to us when we grasp them and bring them down to us, or grasp them outside of ourselves and bring them into us? Why is it they all create such a sense of deep dissatisfaction? All these things could be objects, they could be cars, they could be accolades, they could be achievements, they could be relationships, careers, clothes. Anything that we've set outside of ourselves is something that we must achieve in order to find the state of completion. It could be beliefs that we hold, addictions, cravings, conflicts, all of it. And these solutions for ourselves could be outside of ourselves as well. They could be medicine, new therapies, new modalities, drugs, alcohol, thrill-seeking, repression, ignoring, psychotherapy, and on and on and on, and healings and clearings and energy revivals and all of this stuff that we pull into us. All to clear our fields or heal our spirit or to fix whatever it is that we think is wrong with us. Believing that something out there is something that we need to have to make us feel whole, that something out there will fix us because there is something inherently wrong within us that we truly believe is wrong, and that we must resolve it, and we must fix it, and that everything outside of us will be the solution, it will be the final piece to that puzzle that feels empty inside of us. We have often decoyed and disguised these things to ourselves. We put them outside of ourselves, that's going to be the thing that fixes this emptiness, this hole inside of me, this thing that craves and needs and clings. That will fix it, right? And so we apply it like a bandage and then go peel that bandage off and see that it's still festering inside. And we go, why is it still festering? Why? Why is there something still wrong with us? How come that hasn't fixed it? And then we take medicine and we peel back the thing and look and go, but it's still not fixed yet. It's still festering inside. There's still cancer inside of us. There's still discontent, dissatisfaction, anger inside of us. Why? Why do we decoy and disguise these things to ourselves? Why do we just talk ourselves into these situations with them? Why do we seek to control and expect outcomes to happen just so for ourselves? Why? And because it is our tiny mind that has taught us, and it has been reconfirmed by our societal beliefs and our own societal conditionings, that this is the way to ensure our survival. By reaching outside and bringing it into us, we'll fix it. And we'll fix the situation, and we'll change where we live, we'll change this, we'll change that, we'll change everything. But we will continue to come face to face with that which is inherently wrong within ourselves. And I raise my hand because we move frequently and often thinking that that's going to resolve the situation or that's going to fix something for us by moving. If we pick up and move, that's going to change it all. And it does for a little while until we sink right back down into our own dissatisfaction. Or we change careers, or we change jobs, or we change this, or we change that. Everything that's outside of ourselves. We change our clothes, we change our hair. We do all of this changing, constantly changing, trying things different on. Different personalities, we try different masks, we wear different makeup, we put on different shoes. We think that all of this stuff's going to fix all that's inherently wrong. We seek to fight and to dominate because our tiny mind has also taught us that this is the way to ensure that we will be accepted, lauded, celebrated, and heard, all so that we can be kept, what? Safe. We create all of this stuff and all this strife that we have to overcome because we believe that that is what will take for us to be accepted, and us to be believed, and us to be heard. On the outside, these things we talk ourselves into seeking out and clinging so often seem so wonderful, so idealized. That is it, don't they? And as we begin to dig within each object, each subject, each circumstance, each situation, each spiritual philosophy, each medical philosophy, each healing modality, each situation, each psychotherapy, everything that's outside of ourselves, we end up only seeing the disease and dysfunction and chaos that emerges. Each organization, each company, each solution. We become disappointed and disillusioned with the solution or the thing that we sought out because we sought out from outside of ourselves. So we either abandon it, change it, fix it in some way so it better suits our perception of what it ought to be like. But I have to ask you, why are you encountering disillusionment and emptiness to begin with? Why is it you believe that your needs must be met outside of yourself? Why do we encounter dysfunction and chaos in the first place? Why? Because it is this internal condition that we are experiencing within ourselves. As a result, we simply cannot allow ourselves to flow in light. We cannot be like a river because we must fight. We create currents and disruption and we stand firm in our resolve. And we pick up our guns because we're going to fight to the very last man. We can't grow like trees because we expend all this energy fighting. We can't flow like a river because we expend all of this energy fighting, creating chaos, disillusionment, dissatisfaction. After all, if we were to just allow it to flow effortlessly, it all just seems too simple, doesn't it? Too easy. After all, life is supposed to be hard, isn't it? It's supposed to be a tragic drama, isn't it? All of us are supposed to struggle and be victimized and encounter hardships and struggle on to overcome along our journeys. That's what life is. That's what we've been taught. The spiritual authority says that we must shoulder our burdens and then take up our sins and give them to someone and beg forgiveness and beg salvation in hopes that they might free us and liberate us. Right? Take a deep breath. You see, we've covered a lot in a short period of time, and it takes a little bit of time to settle all this in and allow us to elevate to a new level of awareness and awakening. I want you to keep in mind what I'm about to talk about, that all of this is simply to give you another perspective, another perception. And I'm going to allow you to journey to the heart of what we're going to be discussing today and what this gift brings us. We're going to be talking about the journey that we all embark upon, the struggles and the strife and the overcoming of all obstacles to just reach this new place of enlightenment, this place of self-awakening and this new gift of self-awareness that we give ourselves and one another. There's a world out here where exists nothing but futility, effort, and darkness. It's a lot of heavy lifting out there. It's a lot of heaviness out there. A lot of pollution, a lot of stagnation, a lot of darkness. And all people ever do out there is simply for the purpose to survive. Everything they do, all the decisions they make, everything it is, it's all about survival. The concern is only with survival. That's it. I don't think about the higher functions. I don't think about higher living. They're just surviving, getting from one day to the next. Surviving. Their concern is to serve themselves. Maybe their family too, if they have one. It's really to ensure their survival and to get to that next point, and then that next point, and then that next point. They're tunnel visioned and hyper-focused on that one point. And as soon as they achieve that point, then they look up and move to the next one, and then look up and move to the next one. All in all, they're blindfolded and shielded except for that one little point in their sphere of awareness. They do not believe that all life is sacred. They believe that life and earth is theirs to dominate and control and achieve, that everything is put there for them to survive upon, and they see nothing wrong with doing so. There is no hope in that world. There's no love. There's only a kind of quiet, desperate greed that goes along in with any interaction that they have. They look at a person and go, "Can I get what I need out of you?" If not, they discard that person. They look at a being or anything or any environment or any situation or any circumstance and go, "What can I get out of you? Can I get what I need out of you?" And if not, they discard them. They size each other up and down and in moments decide whether or not a person is of use or of value to them. As soon as they're not, they're discarded. Useless. And their entire society is built upon that predilection. When you live in a world like that, there's a spell that comes over you. And you begin to engage at that level. Because the spell itself tells you that what you're doing is to ensure survival. And survival's right. And everything else is not okay. It's not right. It's in the wrong. And it tells you that you are doing the right things and other people are doing wrong things. And other people are doing things to you to make you feel a certain way so that you have to react out and act out in conflict. Let me ask you, have you ever found yourself under a spell? Did you ever allow yourself to believe, for example, that a thing you're about to purchase or invest in, something that you really can't afford to buy or you really probably oughtn't buy, you have become so convinced that that thing, you become so fixated on that thing being the solution for yourself. It was going to fix something about yourself, your business, your life, your career, your finances, that you decide to just do it anyways. You go ahead and buy it anyways. It's going to make you feel a certain way. It's going to achieve something for you, right? You've been under a spell. Marketers are extremely good at weaving spells and hypnotizing people to draw them in, to get them to buy things that they don't need or necessarily want. And if that doesn't do it for you, don't you find yourself running off to try fix yourself or your life or your career or your business another way? You could try something else. Well, if that didn't do it, let's go try something else. And you fixate on all these little solutions and all these little things outside yourself. But darn it, even if that doesn't do it, man, darn it, the next thing will. That's a sheer level of optimism that I have. Oh my gosh, well, if that doesn't work, let's try something else. And let's go experiment with something else. It's a lot of fun, right? It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing right with it. There's nothing wrong with it. As long as you're aware that you're under a spell. But darn it, the next thing's going to fix me. The next thing will heal me. The next thing's going to make me feel better about my life. I'm going to get more pleasure or more excitement or accolades if I get X. If I need to have X in my life so I can feel better, feel whole. If I can get there, if only I can get out there, if only I can get there, wherever there is for you. And find that out and experience it and have it and go there. If only I can achieve that and have people love me and accept me and wield my accolades, or if only people will buy my book, I could get more money and then I could be happy. It's always about more pleasure, more money, or more this, or more accolades, or only more. If only I had more, I could feel more, right? Only once you get there, you find out, oh, I wasn't it either. What was it then? What is it then? It's all a big game that we play. It's the big illusion, the big deception. And we're all participants in it. We're all part of it. We're all experiencing it. All of us find ourselves under spells from time to time. Often, more often, much more often than we lead ourselves to believe. In the movie The Matrix, the trilogy, poses that question to us, that very question. That maybe the world we live in is only a construct designed to keep us enslaved and compliant. But to whom? To what? Compliant to whom? Enslaved to what? My friend, that's the big game. It's only designed to keep you enslaved and compliant to your tiny little mind. There is no big evil wizard out there overseeing things. No, I'm sorry. There's no big evil doer out there. Everyone has a perception of evil. And if you were to step into the shoes of someone who is doing evil, you would probably look through their eyes and their glasses and see that the evil is on the other side of the table. If you get up in the morning and you look in the mirror, you will see that the evil that has always been done to you is something that you ultimately are doing to yourself. And see, something wonderful starts to happen to a person embarking upon a journey to wake up while in that world. You see, you begin to feel a terrible conflict within yourself that something is terribly amiss. And in spite of the fact that everyone else is under the same spell, believing that they're in the right place doing the right thing, and that the other people are wrong, you may come to the realization that something is seriously askew here. You may struggle internally within yourself because you can't for the life of you figure out just quite what is going on. You're very confused. And you continue seeking outside yourself, and you continue to explore and experiment, and you continue to hear all of the stuff that society is trying to tell you, what's right, what's good, what you should be doing, what's good for your country, or what's good for this, or what's good for the company, and you're trying to do all of this. But the problem is that you live in a world that appears to be dominated by a darkness. And all of these authority figures have bought into this darkness, and they're all telling you to do things that are ultimately not only not for the good of yourself, but good for everyone else, that you do this, or that you engage in this war, or you engage in this conflict, because ultimately it's for the good of everyone, right? That you free these people, right? Even though you might have to kill a few million civilians, it's all ultimately for the good, right? You're told only that to struggle, to fight, to take, to acquire, to play games, and to make others work as hard as you. You're told and programmed to believe that fighting is the just and right thing to do, and that we are in the right and the opposite at the enemy must not be allowed to prevail, whatever that enemy may be of the day. You're told that only through overcoming and struggling is the only way to work your way up, whatever chain of success or whatever, to achieve whatever carrot is being dangled out for you. And that in order for you to prevail, that in order for the good to prevail, others must suffer. There must be a price paid for good. But inside of you, you find something is happening. You're just not able to reconcile within yourself how it could be possible that if what you are doing is righteousness and justified and correct by your country's standards, by your society standards, by your company standards, by your beliefs, then why is it at the end of the day you feel so wrong and so badly inside, deep inside? Because, my friend, you're in conflict. And if you ask the people around you who've also bought into these belief systems or the righteousness of something, or the good of something, or the fact that we are fighting the good fight and that we will overcome, they all tell you that you are nuts and to go get psychiatric evaluations. They'll tell you you're crazy. You're insane. This is just something you need to get over with, man. If you want to participate in the game of life, get over it. That's how things are run here. That's how things are done here. The thing of it is, this feeling is often so tiny, and this voice is so faint, so barely noticeable, because the spell that had been cast is so strong and so prevalent on everything around you. The spell itself, it runs to the very center of your tiny mind. You know it's supposed to be right. You know that everybody's doing it, so you should be doing it too. You know it's supposed to be acceptable. You know it feels like it's wrong, but at some level of your spirit, you just can't reconcile it. It's not supposed to be wrong. Everybody says it's right. It's okay, right? However, no matter how hard or powerful or strong that spell may be, you will continue to find this discord, this emptiness, this darkness, this discontent, this dissatisfaction in everything around you. It grows stronger day by day, and that feeling gets stronger and more prevalent until you begin to look around yourself, until everything you're told to do, when you are told to do it, becomes a fight, becomes a battle, because it feels so counterintuitive to what feels right within your own spirit, your own heart. And you do so badly want to do right by others, and you so badly want to do the right thing by the country standards, by your company standards, by your family standards. You do. But you know in your heart of hearts, inside the very core of your spirit, the truth of it, the why of it, the why you feel so badly, the core of what is making you feel so wrong inside. See, so many people enter this state and awareness, and they do so much to try to subdue this discontent and this dark, heavy, repressive feeling inside. They do so much. They go seek help. They go get diagnosis. They go get everything they can. They go get checked out. They go get psychiatric help. They go get drugs. They go get addicted to things. And they go turn to all sorts of chemical stimulations or suppressions of various kinds, all to subdue this. They fixate on something else to make them feel differently so that they can accept what everyone is telling them to do. If you were honest, truly honest with yourself, you do know in your very heart of hearts, it's never acceptable to your very spirit to hurt or harm another living being. It is so deeply ingrained within us. You know in your heart it's not life-affirming. You know in your spirit it's wrong. You might even crave that addiction, to fill it, and you'll do whatever it takes to flush it, to feel that high, to feel that sense of power, to feel that, to get your fix. Oh, you drum up fights, you drum up arguments, you drum up conflict. Humanity is so addicted to it, that it is so blind to its own addiction. No matter how powerful the addiction is, the spell is, you will continue to find this discord, this discontent in everything around you. You know it. You feel it. In your very core center of your intuitive nature, you know this life-negating energy of harming or hurting another will ultimately only create more darkness, more harm, more hurt, even within yourself. And it's only when we shine our lights and speak from our hearts out against the darkness that the heaviness is abated. And yet, you continue to take part in actions or socially accepted practices in harming or hurting others. You know it to be true within yourself. Your own moral compass knows that darkness and cruelty and harm will only project out more darkness, cruelty, and harm into your environment. You know that enslavement will only produce more enslavement. You know this. You know this. You know that to say things to others, that to hurt them or burden them will only ultimately hurt you and burden you and enslave you and victimize you. You know the things that you are doing and actively taking part in are ultimately destroying the very world in which you live in, experiment in, play in. Why then do we still do these things actively, knowingly? Why? When we overhear someone say something about us that is wrong or negative or dark or hurtful, we immediately feel a fight welling up within ourselves. Oh, we need to prove them wrong. We feel we have to defend themselves because, as we all know, we're right and they are in the wrong. And we take that finger and we point. They are incorrect and we must correct them. And in the middle of that part of you that wants to lash out, that wants to defend yourself or straighten someone else out or fix the world or heal or help someone or correct them or course correct them or get them back on the right path, you know. There's a tiny little conflict within yourself that has been pushed aside, ignored, or repelled, avoided at all costs. The conflict is this: how can what I'm doing be acceptable to my heart of hearts, to my own spirit, if how I'm feeling is so heavy and dark inside? How can it contribute to my lightness of being if I feel so dark inside? How can what we be doing as we live in this physical plane be correct if how we're feeling is so dark and dirty and diseased within? Now, we categorize the stuff mentally in our brain as good or bad, evil or negative or wrong, right? But we know the difference between that which enlivens us to feel lightness inside and that which wears us down ultimately, depletes us, exhausts us, leaves us feeling heavy and dissatisfied and dark and depleted and disgusted and dripping dirt, tar and disgust. We know the difference. Our moral compass points us to the difference. Our internal compass points us to the difference. We know it. Regardless of whatever anyone tells you, you know it. You know it within. And you will always be pointed back to that. Forever. Every experience that you have, every conflict that you have, every person that you have conflict with will always point you back to that. Tiny little conflict within that you've tried so hard to tamp down, so hard to avoid, so hard to push away, because to have that conversation with yourself means that you must then have that conversation with everything else around you. How is this possible? Because see, we've had this experience pushed down with us so many times. We're asked to ignore it or told by others. Because others do it, it makes it okay. That if everyone else engages within this action, in this activity, it must be okay, it must be healthy, it must be acceptable. And that doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it good, doesn't make it negative, doesn't make it bad. It just, you know for within yourself what's life affirming and what's life negating. You can test it within yourself. You can feel it within yourself what's optimal for you and what's not. And you can trust it within yourself and only within yourself. Do not trust anything outside of yourself to be held up as truth or not. That is for you and you alone to decide. No matter what authority figure is out there pointing their finger down at you saying you must do this, you know within yourself what you must and must not do. We know what depletes us. We know what enlivens us. We know what makes us feel delight and lightened. And we know what makes us feel heavy and dark inside. You know it. Before you ever pick up a gun, you know it. Before you ever pick up a towel, you know it. Before you ever begin to speak, you know it. Before you ever begin to hurt another, you've already known it. We see other people taking advantage of others or using others or treating others with disrespect and hurting others, and we think it's okay. No. Coercing others is not okay. Manipulation is never okay. Disrespect and hurting is never okay. We experience these sorts of experiences as good or bad, or however we choose to label them, until we come to a point where the only way to fix what's wrong and what we perceive as wrong is for us to become a righteous person and embark upon the good fight for justice's sake, or for spiritual sake, or for religious sake, or for whatever sake we decide to take up, or whatever purpose we decide to take up and throw over our shoulders, and whatever burden we decide to carry with us. Justice's sake, righteousness' sake, oppression's sake, repression's sake, whatever it is. We give ourselves the purpose of fixing and saving the world, and fixing or saving that person in front of us. Because by golly, it's our job to fix it. It's our purpose to save others. It's our purpose to heal. It's our purpose to help, isn't it? Even though to heal that person or to fix that person or to fix the situation or to heal that situation or to resolve the situation or to save that world or to save that country, I've got to fight and control them in order to do it. Because by golly gee, I know what's right and wrong, and he must really be an idiot not to see it the same way as I do. And here is how two people come to a negotiation table, each perceiving the other person is wrong and them is right, and having no interest to resolve the conflict truly. Because if we were truly to come from an open place, and not a fear-based place, but an open place, an open, accepting place that both people have an equal, sacred, divine right to exist, we would feel no need to go into war with the other. Because we would be sharing, not taking. Be sharing of our abundance, not taking from each other. We would share our abundance happily, gratefully even. We wouldn't be needing to take it from each other. We would see each other's cultures and differences as opportunities to learn and grow from one another, not to take and repress one another. We would see the light in the other person's eyes as we say, Namaste. For within you I see great wisdom that I can learn from. And that other person would also say, Namaste. For within you I also see great wisdom to learn from. So let us come together at this table and resolve this conflict in peace. I have no need to harm you or hurt you or take from you, because honestly everything that my country needs already has it from within to create. And what your country needs already has it from within to create. So let us create together a new life of being together in peace and harmony. What a world that would be, wouldn't it? Begin fighting with everyone and everything in sight, because it is so very wrong what they're doing to each other. I am a tool of justice by God. I must regain what I think I've lost by setting this person straight and correct, because they are wrong and I am right. I must stand up for honor's sake and defend my honor by God, because I am a tool of justice, and I must defend my country's honor by God, and I must take from this other country what is rightfully ours by God. Unfortunately, I have lost the war the moment I begin journeying down that path and begin fighting with others and everything in sight, because it is so very wrong what they are doing to me, or doing to my country, or doing to my company, or doing anything to anyone. I know you're torn. I can feel it within me. You don't know. You're feeling an interior rending a part of yourself at your very seams, because you say to yourself, I can see that I'm saying or doing things I don't want to say or do, but I'm afraid by not saying them or doing them, because I may lose something. I may lose something. But on the other side, I've seemed to have lost myself, misplaced myself along the way. I've seemed to have misplaced my moral compass along the way. I can see that what I'm saying and doing is hurting others. And thus I feel so gross, so discontented, so dysfunctional. But I can't help myself because I'm so addicted. I'm so afraid. I don't know how to fix this. And there begins the struggle, the eternal struggle to fix something that was never broken in the first place. It's the illusion. The struggle reaches such a point inside every person and embarks upon a journey like this to make a declaration that puts self-awakening before everything else, that they begin tearing apart the very fabric of once felt so real to them. They tear everything apart to pieces, to shreds, sometimes physically very much so, because they are in such turmoil and distress. And of course that creates even more conflict, because then we turn and point to everything else around them, outside of them. Oh, it must have been this that made them do it. It must have been that made them do it. It must have been this that made it. No, darlings. The real internal conflict is the fact that they are at odds within themselves, to the point that they have lost their way and they have lost their sanity. It feels like that, right? And if you don't come to a point of alignment within yourself and correctness in yourself, you'll create a crisis, certainly. A crisis of unknown magnitude that may destroy others in the process. Most people struggle with this internal rift until it feels like they're losing their sanity and their peace of mind, and everyone else around them begins to question it as well. You always seem like such a nice person, they'll say on the news. I don't understand. And yet secretly, what they're trying desperately to do is protect their own belief that they have a part to play in this. Everyone has a part to play in everything. Collectively, we all do. It is right in the middle of our rending apart at the seams. And with it, we reach such a point that we may end up destroying everything in our path as a result of our own disillusionment and discontent. That we go knocking about our own reality, breaking things down, manifesting misstep after missteps, until one misstep finally allows us to slip on the floor and hit our proverbial head, so to speak, and we finally wake up. And then suddenly, we remember everything. This is the point of awakening, and yet so many people do not achieve that. They break apart beforehand. They break apart their lives. They either commit suicide or kill someone else or create such a trauma that there's no going back. That's what they believe. That's what a lot of people believe. If you were to believe that life and death is the ending and the beginning, and that's all. Many people, however, if they can get to that point and go one more step beyond it, they will experience such an awakening that will transform their lives, transform the very pinnacles of their being, and they will turn everything inside out. And suddenly, everything is exactly as it should be. But that awakening only happens when they've gotten to the point that they become so frustrated and so exasperated with how they've tried to do everything that was expected of them, with quotes around that, only to have no real reward, just more carrots for them to chase, more things for them to do, more things to achieve, more things outside themselves to have to fix, and to change. And and to justify and to course correct, gosh darn it, that they create within themselves and their own lives that crisis to catalyze their own awakening. But honestly, there is no time like the present to awaken. There's no time like now. And there is no point in time where rightness comes along as we're so willing to engage in fighting. Rightness never comes out of fighting. Goodness never comes from fighting. There is no point in time where light is born out of creating more darkness. We can create a lot of darkness, and we can create a lot of chaos, and we can create a lot of strife in order to catalyze ourselves back to creating light. But it is not for us to engage in anything except that which enlivens our very souls to sing to begin with. Anything else is a detriment to our spirit, becomes a chain and a burden to our own evolution, our own ascension, collectively as humanity. Wouldn't you like to wake up and remember who you truly are, where you truly come from, where you truly live? For having remembered who you are, boy, you realize, man, we live in a strange place. We look around ourselves and go, this isn't our reality. How can this be our reality if all we're doing is destroying it? Who wrecks your own home, man? More than that, however, you come to another realization where you realize there isn't necessarily a wrong or a right. There's just asleep and awake. And as you awaken, you'll start to see others who are still asleep, and you'll start to see others who are awake. People who are automatic in their comings and goings, automatic in their acquiescence to things that are in direct conflict with their inborn nature. And you'll start to see and interact with other beings who manifest new realities, new potentialities, new possibilities, new communities, new ways of existing and working and co-creating and habitating with one another. And you can choose which you want to participate in. You can choose to descend or you can choose to ascend. It's up to you. Now, you may go out and attempt to wake people up, as I do, for you realize that until we are all awakening and ascending, we can only ascend as high as our lowest common denominator. In time, we do realize that there are those few who already enliven themselves and experience lightness of being as they travel to the next level. And those are the ones we take with us along our own journey, hoping to shed more light on those as we pass them by. There's a lot of talk by people who proclaim themselves to be awakened or enlightened or spiritually aware, yet they continue to perpetuate the same ills upon their own lives to this day. The only thing you have to understand is this: to live an enlightened life is to simply be aware, moment by moment, to choose to be conscious, to choose more conscious choices, consciously choose to elevate your life little by little, a little bit over the moment before. That's all that's being asked. Inside a year, 1% of daily practice of enlightenment, daily practice and daily conscious choices, that today, for this moment, I choose this, compounds day by day to being infinitely more aware and more conscious and more elevated than ever before. This doesn't have to be a big, heavy burden for you. This can be as effortless and as easy for you as breathing. That's right. Enlightenment happens in an instant, and so too does the light itself. These are the two gifts we give ourselves, to be enlightened and then to delight in that enlightenment. It is up to us to choose a daily experience that empowers us to remain into that state or to sink back down into the illusion enshrouded by darkness and decay. If you are consciously aware that you are engaging in an activity that is not optimal for yourself or another human being, and in that moment you are aware of it, and you can choose to change it and accept that experience as an experiment and let it go without guilt or judgment and move on. Congratulations. You are a being becoming enlightened. From then on, what you choose next is up to you. You are no longer a slave to your emotional conditions or the conditions set upon you by a society. You are no longer a slave perpetuating a myth. You're no longer a victim of circumstance. You're no longer an illusion or part of an illusion of a form of a world you habitate. Where a darkness once exists, now a light persists. A lightness of being. That, my friend, is enlightenment. And where lightness persists, so too can the delightful emanations of your natural being burst forth from within. And from there, you can experience the beautiful effortlessness of being. For to enlighten means only this. It means only to illuminate, only to give the gift of understanding or insight about a subject or situation. That is it, and nothing more. To de-light doesn't mean to negate the light, doesn't mean to tamp down the light. In fact, many people think D has many negative consequences in the prefix D in our English language. So when they think of de-light, they think it's the opposite of enlightenment, but it's not. To de-light means to give yourself so fully to the experience, to the very heights of true bliss and gratification and joy and pleasure and satisfaction of enlightening experiences. That's delight. The prefix of D attached to light gives you the invocation of the very essence of the complete and total intensity of lightness of being itself. First one becomes enlightened, then one delights in the enlightenment. And this is the continual cycle of our progression as spiritual beings. First we become enlightened, then we delight in that enlightenment, and then we become enlightened, and then we delight in our enlightenment, and on and on and on it goes. Effortless, right? Joyful, right? When a being invites enough light into their very lives, into their very hearts, to their spirits, they are awakened by that light to be filled with understanding, which gives them compassion and takes the place of fear. It gives them love, unconditionality. Then this being can give themselves the gift of the birth of the experience of a new kind of relationship. Relationship within themselves, with the infinite, and with all others, wherein they can delight in the sacredness of all life, in the delightness of all life. In order to understand all of this, we must first look at why we are compelled to act and speak as we do beforehand. And it's usually and why we feel so empty inside, why we feel so dark, so heavy. We think it's all to do with rightness and wrongness, like we first talked about. But it's usually also preceded because we perceive a need. It is all preceded by this feeling that we have a need that must be filled. Needs, feeling needy. That we have this need that must be filled by external circumstances, external situations. So in order that we can in some way feel whole or complete or better than we felt before. We think that that is outside of ourselves. We believe getting that need filled resides in someone else, resides outside of ourselves, resides in a new circumstance, a new situation, a new this, a new that. So we continually make shifts happen in our life. Make shifts happen. Or not shit happen. So that need, these needs that we feel that need to be filled include these needs that we have to be accepted, to be believed in, to be heard, to be seen, to be loved, to be appreciated, to be honored, to be respected, to be feared, to be obeyed, to be trusted. There's so many needs. That's just a small selection of them. We have as many needs as we have words to describe these needs. There's a number of needs we believe we fill outside of ourselves. The truth is, however, we can fill many needs from within. We grab with fear and greed at the strands of what we believe will fill our vacancy inside ourselves, will fill that hungry emptiness within. We grab at straws trying to stuff them into that gnawing cavity and trying desperately to numb that aching feeling of wrongness. We try to stuff the straws in our ears that we might not hear the tiny voice whispering within ourselves. While we try desperately to fill and to quell those needs we believe we must fill through whatever external needs we have at our disposal, because that is what we are taught to do. It is what we are taught by the illusion that has perpetuated since before time itself, that the tiny mind continues to cultivate. However, when I understand that I no longer have to do what I have been doing to gain something I believe I need to receive outside of myself in order to feel whole and complete, I begin to come to a new understanding that all I have need of to receive in order to feel whole, joyful, and delighted all comes from within me. I now cultivate a new relationship within myself to fill myself up from within rather than seeking others to do the filling for me. I now have a new relationship with the parts of me that tell me that unless I do and say those things to get those needs met, something bad is going to happen to me or my family. Why? For I've learned to quell those fears and reassure those parts of me that all is as it should be. For I am complete from within, and like the river, I flow abundantly, effortlessly back to that which I already am. The relationship within changes and transforms like that. And the relationships outside of ourselves transform like that. Because we're no longer engaged in a dependent relationship. We're no longer engaged in a codependent relationship. We're no longer engaged in an addictive relationship. We are engaged in a truly interdependent interaction with one another, where we both seek to lift light out of one another, to give light to one another, to receive lightness of being from one another. And we genuinely cherish those moments of delight we share with one another. And why is this all happening? Because new light emerges to shine abundantly in a darkness filled with fear and lack. Now we can participate easily within the realm we were always intended to be a part of, where we no longer view ourselves as separated or isolated, but instead are delighting in the experience of moment by moment acts of pure, spontaneous creation itself. They've left behind the tiny shadows of desperate fears and clingy needs, and have stepped into the fullness and roundness of our natural state of being within ourselves and everyone around them. No longer does darkness and spells enshroud us. They are our own great acts of creation. We become our own great acts of creation, and all is as it should be. Namaste.
Thank you for listening to today's show, The Alchemist with Isis Jade. If you are intrigued by the strategies and products discussed, you can visit me on my website at alchemistco.com to purchase the world's only certified organic bioenergized tools, including aromatherapy, natural perfumes, skincare, protection sprays, emotional healing, and so much more. That's alchemystco.com. Now, to get access to our bioenergized pain relief line, you can find those on warrior-relief.com. You can also find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. Just type in Alchemist Co. and follow me there. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to get access to our weekly podcast, receive updates and information about our latest products, guided meditation, books, and courses, and get in on our VIP offers not available to the general public. Thank you so much for listening. Have a most delightful and wonderful day out there living your very best life.